So, good day everyone. Today we are going to discuss the crime prevention and protection principles. Crime prevention and protection. Can be broadly defined as anything that reduces the level of crime and or the perceived fear of crime. So, the frame next, the frameworks of crime prevention. Enhance community knowledge of the potential of campus crime and victimization, and instill in the each member of sense of duty to take reasonable actions to mitigate the risk. So, everyone has a role to play in preventing crime. Incorporating simple but effective tips will not only reduce the risk of being a victim of crime, but also make a home and community safer. So, examples, wait lang. So, technology is increasingly contributing to the prevention of crime. For example, very successful crime prevention measures have been applied to motor vehicles to make it harder to steal them. However, the use of technology to prevent crime is not without problems. Inserting microchips in known offenders might technologically possible but raises numerous ethical and moral issues. What lengths we should go to prevent crime and the potential unintended consequences of crime. Prevention measures should always be considered. Next, frameworks of crime prevention. Protection. Next, Barb, please. Framework of prevention and crime protection. Frameworks of crime protection are: its goal is to ensure that victims have access to aid and that their requirements are met. It placed a long emphasis on avoiding re-victimization. Next, our stages of crime prevention. So, primary prevention focuses on social and situational factors, reducing opportunities for crime, strengthening community and social structures. So, primary prevention aims at preventing violent and behavior activities from occurring at all. This type of intervention seeks to address risk factors known to be associated with violences to all social crime prevention addresses factors that influence an individual's likelihood of committing a crime, such as poverty and unemployment, poor health, and low educational performances. Situational prevention addresses the environment, for example, the design of buildings and landscapes and the products we purchase. So, primary prevention in the field of youth, uh, prevention, crime prevention examples. Primary prevention in the field of youth and violence is not just police and law enforcement work. Other authorities responsible for this are, for example, the educational and social departments of the regions, as well as improving the evidence for the prevention of crime offenses through professional development and empowerment. So, empowerment, modernization, intensive cooperation, and commitment, mainly with the communities and other partners. Police and law enforcement agencies are interested in working closely with these authorities and private organizations. So next, second, secondary prevention seeks to change people, typically those at high risk of embarking on a criminal career. The focus can be on rapid and effective early interventions, for example, youth programs, high-risk neighborhoods, for example, neighborhood dispute centers. So, secondary prevention refers to any efforts to intervene among populations which are already at high risk to ensure that violence does not occur. Such measures include focusing on limiting the circumstances that favor violent behavior, or they can involve promoting the competencies of people and increasing social cohesion. So, the secondary prevention, crime is being fought on the surface. So the target people, example, people such as cases with potential problems are currently known as problematic cases. Second is modification of the intervention structure on the case, technical prevention. Third is increased risk of resolution of the crime or overcoming the crime. Secondary prevention in the field of youth and violence is needed a difficult task for the police and law enforcement agencies, which cooperates closely with the other authorities and private organizations to this end. So next, the last is tertiary prevention. Focuses on the operation of the criminal justice system and deals with offending after it has happened. The primary focus is intervention in the lives of known offenders in an attempt to prevent them re-offending. So, the tertiary prevention focuses on providing long-term care after acts of violence have occurred and efforts to prevent the relapses by offenders. They can include any efforts to assist with the rehabilitation of offenders and to reduce their recidivism and efforts to provide support to victims. So, for example, by offering trauma counseling and other health related services. So, tertiary prevention target group people who are already offenders. This generally requires educational measures such as, for example, the withdrawal for work for general benefit. The aim of avoidance is to promote the offender's rehabilitation and alleviate the courts of minor offenses. So in particular, the justice system should find ways to abstain completely from prosecution or to close the procedure, possibly in relation to an educational measure. So the third prevention or high prevention in the field of youth and violence is largely the responsibility of justice and its institutions. Next.